All right, now elsewhere, insurance expansion rises by 1%. The insurance industry paid out more than 600 billion Ugandan shillings in claims in the year ending 2022. That is according to the Uganda Insurers Association, the umbrella organization for the insurance companies. The Uganda Insurance Association Chief Executive Officer, Joram launched the insurance integration walk, saying there has been a considerable increase in claims paid out by insurance firms. Naomi Mutumba with the report.
The insurance market has been growing since 2005, when gross written premiums exceeded 90 billion, reflecting a 0.5% penetration. By 2022, the sector had expanded to 1.4 trillion, reflecting a double-digit growth rate of more than 10% on average. Another proof of the sector's growth is the 43% of claims paid in the financial year 2021-2022, roughly 600 billion claims, with medical insurance leading the way, with payouts of 10 to 15 billion claims each month.
Last year alone, we paid over 600 billion in claims. And last year alone, if you look at the medical claims that we've been paying on a monthly basis, almost between 10 to 15 billion on a monthly in medical claims. What I need to warn the public out there is the simple fact that, number one, some of these diseases have permanent effects, and yet they are preventable. So even when we settle the claim and pay for the medical expenses, we may not be able to pay for the physical damage on your body. This physical damage is caused by these diseases, but also by the medication, too much medication. So what we are saying is, let's live healthier lives by doing exercise, as opposed to taking medicine and as opposed to ending up with these lifestyle diseases. I thought I would just supplement on that aspect.
Less than 1% of the nation's GDP is contributed by the insurance sector, which highlights the country's poor insurance penetration. As a result, the insurance inauguration walk has been organized with the aim of educating Ugandans about the significance of obtaining insurance for their businesses, as well as the wellness and way of life changes connected to medical insurance.
This work is supposed to be an eye-opener for everybody. Instead of going to the hospital and getting prescription medicines, they tell you go home and have a rest. We are hoping to have healthier lifestyles, eat better, walk better, work better, to also put a bit of comfort to our health insurers who keep paying a lot of premiums for consultation fees for people who just have stress-related problems or just health-related problems. So we are hoping this is not just about awareness, but it also helps us manage our loss ratios as an industry, so as to be better, to serve our clients better, and also for the insurance companies at the end of the day to make a bit of a profit on the underwriting premiums that they get. So we're hoping that this is just a start to a bigger and better future, and working together.
And definitely through these partnerships, that is when the awareness, the visibility, the importance and appreciation of the insurance industry and the benefits that the insurance companies extend to our members or to the public will be much appreciated, because we know that if we, through this work, for example, if we work as a team, we are able to make a statement to the public as we work.
The way insurance determines how to charge or how much to charge depends on a number of factors. One of them being your health, yes. Another being how long you are expected to live, another how often you're expected to fall sick and how. This is a beginning. We do not expect that by walking today, tomorrow the premiums will go down. And we are also talking about the large numbers. But if this campaign becomes a starting point and other people develop the habit and exercise more often, in the long run, people will fall sick less often, possibly live longer, and go to hospitals for medication less often. And therefore, from the computations, but naturally then the ratings will go down.
In 2021, it was suggested that every Ugandan pays a minimum of 100,000 shillings in annual premiums to access health care under the National Insurance Scheme, with over 1.9 trillion shillings collected annually. However, there has been a low uptake due to lack of information. It is estimated that 500,000 people out of a population of 35 million have medical insurance. Insurers, believe the segment has substantial development potential if public knowledge of the industry is improved. Naomi Mtumba, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Elsewhere, let's head to Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is set to bar its health workers from employment abroad, with plans to criminalize the practice in the offing. The move aims to prevent the loss of the valuable healthcare professionals to other countries, which has been a long-standing issue for Zimbabwe's healthcare system. And in this report, we look at how Zimbabwe is managing brain drain.
Vice President Mr. Chiwenga, who doubles as the health minister, compared the loss of the health care professionals to human trafficking and announced stricter penalties for those who deprive the nation of its human capital. More than 4,000 nurses and doctors have left Zimbabwe since February 2021, with the UK's National Health Service being an attractive destination due to higher wages. The Zimbabwe Medical Association reports that the country has only around 3,500 doctors for a population of 15 million people. However, last month the UK halted the recruitment of Zimbabwean health workers after the South African country was placed on the World Health Organization's red list, denoting countries facing serious health personnel challenges. Zimbabwe's economic crisis, characterized by heavy inflation, has significantly reduced wages, making it challenging to retain healthcare professionals. Mr. Chiwenga stated that the loss of medical care professionals is a grave violation of human rights and that people are dying in hospitals due to lack of nurses and doctors. Zimbabwe's plan to introduce a law preventing other nations from recruiting its healthcare professionals is a step toward addressing the issue of brain drain in the country's healthcare system. However, the country's economic crisis and low wages remain significant challenges. They need to be addressed to retain healthcare professionals and improve the healthcare system's overall performance.
All right, now let's look at NEMA's enforcement strategy, which has been questioned. NEMA, which is the National Environment Management Authority, has issued a directive requiring all car owners to have trash cans in their vehicles. While this directive may be seen as a positive step towards better waste management, and the directive kicked off last weekend on the 1st of April, however, it has been questioned by the Uganda Law Society. We have details in this report.
According to recent data from the World Bank, Uganda generates an estimated 22,000 tons of solid waste per day, with only about half of that amount being collected and disposed of properly. In an effort to improve waste management and reduce littering, the National Environment Management Authority has made various enforcements to protect the environment. Some enforcements, like having a trash can in a car, are seen as uncomfortable and had to comply with, hence questioning NEMA's capabilities.
We had enforcement on wetlands. There were a number of arrests made, especially around Lubigi towards Busega. We also had an operation on noise pollution that evening, and this is a continuous engagement. So for all those, for those that were found were either fined or were, or the prosecution process has started.
Despite the directive being issued, the police have been reluctant to engage the regulating bodies to enforce and push the defaulters. This has led to a lack of compliance and widespread littering in Uganda, further contributing to the country's waste management problem. Collaborations and clear guidelines are needed to ensure that the directive is effective in reducing littering and improving waste management in the country.
The enforcement of the environmental crimes of littering and noise pollution that were scheduled to begin on the 1st of April. Of course, police has not taken part because with the guidance of the Inspector General of Police, it was noted that there were certain gaps in the legal framework that needed to be sorted out by NEMA before we start enforcing the laws on littering and noise pollution. So once it is sorted, then we shall be able to actively get involved in the enforcement.
Additionally, car owners urge that waste management is not solely their responsibility and that the government and other stakeholders should be doing more to improve waste management. The implementation of the trash can directive is a great step towards protecting the environment, but it will take up valuable space in their already crowded vehicles, making it difficult to transport passengers and goods.
Embeera y'okusaakasero mu takisi omwo teyalibadde embi ebe tuyamba okubeera nga takisi zaffe nnyonjo.
The act of putting a trash can in a taxi wouldn't have been bad, for it helps to keep the taxis clean. But these vehicles are really small, so this will cause congestion because it has to be placed too close to the passengers.
Despite NEMA's enforcement strategy being uncomfortable and difficult to comply with, it is necessary for addressing the growing waste management crisis. Hence, further discussions and collaborations between NEMA, the government, and other stakeholders may be needed to find a more effective and legally binding solution to the waste management problem in Uganda. Martha Nimsima, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
All right, now, NEMA keeps developing tools for preserving the environment and climate, obviously. There are heavy fines, jail time, and the need for drivers to use trash cans in their vehicles. The implementation of such has, however, had to be pushed out to next month due to lack of preparation and opposition from stakeholders, such as the Uganda Law Society. In order to comprehend their rationale for opposition, Martha Nimsima got in touch with the Uganda Law Society's president, Bernard Owundo. Take a look.
And thank you for keeping it on Smart 24 TV. Well, NEMA demands that drivers or car owners must have dustbins or trash cans in their cars. Well, this is a strategy for waste management. However, the Uganda Law Society says this directive is a questionable one. With me is Mr. Bernard Owundo, the President, Uganda Law Society, breaking us or giving us the reasons as to why this enforcement is a questionable one. Thank you very much, Mr. Bernard, for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me this afternoon.
Well, the enforcement has been put up. Why are you saying it is a questionable one? Why is it a bad thing, for example?
Thank you, Martha. First, I must make a few points clear. Number one, the Uganda Law Society believes in a clean and healthy environment. That's number one. Our Constitution, Article 39, provides for a right to a clean and healthy environment, and as Uganda Law Society, we believe in a clean and healthy environment. Number two, while we support a clean and healthy environment, we also say that any law or provisions that are brought to ensure a clean and healthy environment must be done in accordance with the law. Now, under our Constitution provides that you cannot arrest a person unless the offense is defined and the penalty is provided for. Our contention with NEMA is that, yes, we agree the National Environment Management Act provides for littering, and that is in the provision. There is no provision in the law that obligates me to carry a dustbin. That is our contention. And you cannot wake up in the morning or by press statement and enact a legal provision. So our contention with NEMA is that the law as it currently stands, the National Environment Management Act, the National Environment Management Act, the regulations which were made under that law, there is no regulation that provides for the offense of not carrying a dustbin. Now, the way offenses are done in law or defined in law is that you provide an offense and then you provide a penalty. And we have told NEMA that there is no offense for not carrying a dustbin. And there is also no penalty that says that if I don't carry a dustbin, you will penalize me for up to 6 million. Up to 6 million. First, there is no penalty that says provides for 6 million, yes. But even the definition of saying up to 6 million is also problematic itself. Because imagine there was the offense of not having a dustbin. Who determines whether I should pay 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 4 million, or 5 or 6 million? That is wrong. So that is our disagreement with NEMA. We are saying we are ready to support you to see how you can actually ensure that whatever guidelines you want to come with are within the law. That is the number one. Number two, we also have an issue with the penalties and fines. Now, under the NEMA Act, penalties must be provided for by regulation, and fines must be provided for by guidelines. We have told NEMA that we have not seen any regulations which are made by the minister. We have also said we have not seen any guidelines which are made by NEMA.
Yeah.
So we are saying that this whole issue that they brought up is to that effect unconstitutional.
Yeah.
And tomorrow, someone who is arresting, imagine a police officer arresting you, is going to say, what do you charge me? Like you'd see the criminal offenses. If you look at the express penalty scheme under the Traffic Act, when the police officer arrests you, he says, I'm arresting you for overspeeding. What is the fine? 100,000. That is how laws are made. There is a guideline on the express penalty scheme.
So apparently for NEMA, there is nothing.
There is nothing.
There's no like paper, there's no book, there is nothing. They just find you in case you don't have the dustbin, and they have to tell you to bring out the 6 million.
Exactly, and that is our problem. We are saying, first of all, there is no law that makes it an offense for me not to carry a dustbin.
Yeah.
Yes. But also number two, you can't say that it will be up to 6 million. Okay?
Yeah.
But even then, even if you had a fine, it had to be done by guidelines which have to be issued. Just like you have the example of the traffic offenses, and I'm using the traffic offenses so that people can see the difference. If you look at the traffic offenses, when a police officer arrests you, says, what is the offense? Overspeeding. What is the fine? 100,000. Where is that for NEMA? Where is that for NEMA?
Now, help us educate our viewers or elaborate something. The part of the regulations, because you've said the penalty has to be made along with the regulation. Is it supposed to be amended by Uganda Law Society, the regulations? Or still you have to join, for example, with NEMA, with the ministry, and you make together these regulations?
So what we have done is we have offered support. As Uganda Law Society, we have said, how can we support you to ensure that whatever provision you bring is within the law, is within the law. But also at this point, you can't create an offense. That's the work of Parliament. So in the NEMA Act, there is a whole part 16 that deals with offenses and penalties, which says no littering. They have concentrated so much on littering. We don't have a problem with littering. So wait for me to litter and arrest me.
Yes.
Wait for me to litter and arrest me. But don't stop me.
From littering?
No, don't stop me and say, I am arresting you because you're not carrying a dustbin. You see the difference?
Yes.
You see? That's the difference. If I litter, the law covers. The law covers you. The law covers NEMA. If you litter, if I am driving my car and I litter and there's environmental police, the law covers it. What we are saying is, don't stop me and say, I'm stopping you. Why are you stopping me? You're not carrying a dustbin.
It's like they're promoting, they're like saying, why aren't you littering?
You are, yes. You're not carrying a dustbin. So that is our contention. We are saying that when you stop me and tell me that I am not carrying a dustbin, there is no provision of the law. There is no provision of the law that obligates me to carry a dustbin and the penal sanction provided for. That is how you make something an offense. If you just say you should carry a receptacle, that's not an offense. An offense is clearly provided for. You say, no one shall, and in case you don't carry, this is the...
what you're going to be punished for. So I think it still goes back to packaging these guys of NEMA with more elaborative and educative on how to make such an enforcement. Because them coming out and telling the public that, you know what, you don't have a trash can in your car, we're going to make you pay this amount of money. First of all, some people are not even aware. In fact, some people's cars are really very clean, besides not having a trash can. So as Uganda Law Society, how would you advise the NEMA?
No, we have already advised. We have said, ensure that whatever you're doing is within the law, ensure that the express penalty scheme is set up by guidelines, the penalties are set up by regulation, ensure that the fines have guidelines. So let's do everything within the law. Let's do everything, because then it makes it easier for the law enforcement officers to be able to charge and arrest. Because today, if I am driving my car and an enforcement officer stopped me and said, and I would ask, why are you arresting me? and then he would say, I'm arresting you for not carrying a dustbin. Then I would ask, under what provision of the law? And then there is no provision of the law that carries a penal sanction. Remember, for the provision of the law to apply, it must carry a penal sanction. Okay? So you can't rely on a general provision and say, now, if it doesn't have a penal sanction, it means I can either do it or I may not have to do it. And if I don't do it, I don't have to pay anything. Yes.
So there would be some innocent Ugandans still who would...
No, I think NEMA has first of all clarified. At first, in their February 3rd press statement, they first said all vehicles.
Yeah.
Now they have moved from all vehicles to public service vehicles. Yes, but we're also still telling them that for public service vehicles,
it's a lie.
Ensure, yes, that there is that provision which obligates you to carry a dustbin. That doesn't mean that as Uganda Law Society we don't want a clean and healthy environment, because some people have misunderstood. No, we want a clean and healthy environment. We also want rule of law. We also want to ensure that people don't wake up in the morning and think of a law and then say, now I'm also going to implement law X, Y, and Z, and this is the punishment. Because our role as Uganda Law Society is to advise, and that's what we did. We wrote to NEMA and said, this is our advice based on our reading of the law. We first wrote to them asking them for the provision that provides for a dustbin. They never responded. Okay, so that is the position.
Well, every citizen actually would like a very clean environment. It is our role. Now, moving on, Mr. Bennett, to today's report. Uganda Law Society provides its quarterly report. What are the main things we are seeing in this report?
So there have been so many things between January and March, and today's report goes into it to try and bring out the issues that are in terms of rule of law and violations of rule of law. So in today's report we have highlighted a number of things, but let me focus on the bigger issues. The first one really is the trial of civilians in military courts. We are advising government and asking government that there have been 2 constitutional court decisions. I've been told one has been stayed. I think the other hasn't yet been stayed and appealed. We continue to advise government that it is better for civilians to be tried in civilian courts instead of you taking civilians to military courts. Yes, we've seen a number of videos circulating where civilians are being prosecuted in military courts, and we are saying that it is better for civilians to be tried in the civilian courts, and then the army, of course, can be tried in the military courts. That's one of the issues. 2, we have also come up to upload the courts. They have given about 3 important decisions that focus on the right to freedoms under the Constitution. 1, freedom of association. You have a very recent judgment where the courts re-emphasize the importance of freedom of association, and the role of the police is essentially to ensure that there is a peaceful protest, but not to stop the protest. So we are re-emphasizing that decision. We've also talked about the iron sheets scandal and said, yes, we have had some people being prosecuted. We're asking the police to expedite the prosecution. And lastly, children's rights. We are also focusing on children's rights. There have been a number of violations, so it is time for every concerned stakeholder to start focusing on the protection of children's rights.
So the last thing, as Uganda Law Society, I've mainly seen you in case of teaching, elaborating, or sensitizing people. It's mainly here within the capital. Do you have like other workshops or seminars outside?
Yes, as Uganda Law Society, we have over 20 offices in 20 different parts of the country where we offer legal aid. So we have people who actually we represent on what we call a pro bono basis. Yes, so last year we represented about 45,000 people. But yes, today currently our legal aid program is facing challenges because, as you remember, DGF was one of the biggest funders of our legal aid project. So we are currently having challenges to try and implement our pro bono and legal aid project.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bennett, for this great interaction. Well, it is our role as citizens to have a clean environment, and let us just follow the right things and we shall have a perfect environment. That has been it all from Mr. Bennett. Thank you.
All right, many thanks for that particular discussion, Martha Nimsima. Now, as we're heading into our Easter holidays, let's have a recap of our news headlines.
In business today, Kampala registers a slow start to business. Low traffic dominates early hours leading to Easter holiday as downtown maintains schedule. Motorists express mixed reactions as overspeeding is set to attract up to €200 million and Finance Ministry anticipate extra revenue. And Yara East Africa passes out over 500 youth in agribusiness as Kenya government commits to empower youth through Hustler Fund.
Many thanks for being part of business today. I'm Joram Ssonko with Winnie Wins and Uncle in Sign Language. It's a Good Friday. And as you kickstart off your Easter holidays, be safe, play safe, have a wonderful time with family, and of course during the leisure time as you're spending your Easter holidays. From us to you, it's a good evening, a good night, and a happy Easter holidays to all of you, your families and friends. Good evening.